So how does this all end? I have my daughter Gabby here. She's 18. She was sitting in that chair, and she hasn't studied economics. She hasn't worked on Wall Street, but she still said, "Well, how can this last forever? Like, how can they just print the money and doesn't someone have to pay the bill at the end of the day?" And isn't that how major empires always fall, whether it's the Romans or the Germans or example after example after example? It's usually printing too much money in whatever way, shape, or form they do it. So how does this end?
Well, one thing that's happening today is that it's not just the U.S. printing money, right? I mean, it's the world's central banks. I mean, Japan's been doing it since the 90s. The U.S. stepped in and did it better, and Japan kind of recontinued. So this level of money, of debt that this money allows to continue to grow, because it's cheaper to borrow, so debt gets issued, so big countries don't have to worry about their real economy and real growth. And if it does grow, they can call it inflation or whatever. But the point being that debt is growing more quickly than the economy. And that's because this money is so cheap. And you would think that at some point that creates a crisis where it's like, wait a minute, we have borrowed way too much relative to what we produce, which in the case of the United States, that debt to growth ratio, to the economy ratio, is over 100%. In Japan, it's close to more than 240%. In the world, it's 280%. The world has basically has to borrow $3 in order to produce a dollar's worth of real economy. So if you think about it like that, it's, we should have just imploded ages ago. But there is also no limit to what anymore, as we've seen, to what these central banks can create when they have a mind to do that, when the situation warrants, whatever that looks like. And it could be that the next crisis that warrants that is way bigger than the pandemic and the financial crisis combined. But the reality is, I think they can continue to push that down the road, because there's just been no reckoning as to how come the economy doesn't have to actually run based on, sort of production and real growth and a real sort of uplifting of everyone actually together, sort of, Smithian or whatever. So I think we'll have crises, but I think the reaction will be very similar to the reaction that we've already seen, which will really be trying to fabricate them away and sort of push them down the road. They're just going to get bigger and more choppy, as we've seen. But there's no counter force to that reaction right now. I mean, there just isn't.
But will it, by definition, break at some point?
But I'm saying you're going to have these sort of breaking points.
Right. But
not necessarily a final breaking point, unless we get hit by a meteor and sort of everything just stops. So I mean, I think there could be a final breaking point. But I said that, actually, Brian, before this pandemic. I concluded parts of my book Collusion, how central bankers rigged the world, that at some point there was going to be some crisis that they could not manage in this way, right? And I'm paraphrasing, but basically that one of those conclusions. And then the pandemic happened, and they doubled down.
Right.
That wasn't the crisis. So is there going to be a final crisis? I really don't know. But what I believe is there's going to be other crises along the way, other sub-breaking points,
right,
where this, something similar is going to happen. Maybe not as we've seen it, but there's this ability to sort of fabricate away the money that's needed to make the crisis look like it's not as bad as it is.
Okay, got it. Okay, so we'll have to see what happens in these future crises and see if this continues to work.
Yeah, we're in the middle of something, right? Like we're not at that point where, like, I think there's some final crisis where the whole system breaks. I mean, logically that should have already happened.
Right.
But just from the sheer standpoint of tools and institutions and individuals and just what we're dealing with right now, and for the foreseeable, like, decades of future, I think we're gonna face greater crises, however they come, whether that were debt related or energy related or some external force related or whatever they might be. But as long as there's like a physical functioning, like building of people that can create money, I just think that's going to be one of the ways from a financial perspective that they're going to sort of address that crisis.
Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I'm just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
It's also been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just in overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you gotta pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.